Yo, what is up, you guys? Welcome back to Small Talk Sports, episode 17. We're moving right along over here. I just had a phenomenal weekend in the Bay Area with my girlfriend. We were up in San Francisco. We stayed in Berkeley with my aunt and uncle. Shout out to them. I know that they're at home watching. And it makes me think of an issue that I have in my everyday life. You know, when you have a grandma and a grandpa, you can say grandparents. A mother and father, you call them parents. But what is that word for an aunt and an uncle? I don't want to keep saying relative every time. I looked it up. I guess you can say my family elders, but it's always saying aunt and uncle. It sounds a little clunky. I don't want to keep doing that. Let me know in the comments if I'm missing a very obvious phrase to refer to an aunt and an uncle. But anyway, we have a lot of stuff to talk about today. The Denver Nuggets completed their NBA journey and are world champions. I guess we should be happy for them. The French Open as well as clay court season finally finished over in the tennis world. And we can't talk about tennis without welcoming back Nick Kyrgios to the stage. Earlier today, he came back to the tennis world after about 6 months of being away due to injury with his knee. Although it was not the return to the sport that we all envisioned, Nick Kyrgios was back nonetheless. And you know what? We'll talk about that a little later. Let's hop right into the Denver Nuggets finally winning an NBA championship. So Game 5 of the NBA Finals was the first finals game that felt like a finals game, in my opinion. It was just very dramatic the entire time. It was super tense. You have the Denver Nuggets, who are obviously trying to snatch up their title from the Miami Heat and really close out this series. But you also have the Heat, who many thought that if they won this Game 5, would make it a more interesting series, at least go to 6 or 7. But I do have to give some credit where credit is due, and that is to Drizzy Drake. He did correctly predict the Denver Nuggets to not only win the championship, but win in 5 games. We talked about it last week. I, of course, was very wrong. I picked the Heat to win in 6 games. Jimmy Butler did have an atrocious shooting night, but he showed up where he needed to. He hit 2 back-to-back threes with under 5 minutes to go. He did have a pretty costly turnover to Mr. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who, and I'll be honest, I was not expecting it, but KCP hit 2 clutch free throws. Like I said in the last episode, he just has a knack for beating the Heat in the finals. And sure enough, the Nuggets end up winning. They're crowned the champions. Nikola Jokic is the finals MVP. Although he looked so disinterested with all the celebration, with all the press afterwards. He was more concerned about getting home to Serbia, probably to welcome home another Serbian who won the championship of his respective sport, and another person whose nickname is the Joker. We gotta get more creative with these Serbian nicknames. Novak Djokovic winning the French Open at Roland Garros. Now, he's not my favorite tennis player. He's probably not your favorite tennis player either. But 23 Grand Slams for the Joker. That's not bad. That's all I'm going to say. No, obviously that's historic. In my personal book, he's probably around the top 5 player of all time. But I know in the actual record books, it's probably a little higher, although I don't want to admit it. In the semifinals versus Carlos Alcaraz, Harry and I woke up early for that match, although it was not really much of a match due to the Alcaraz cramps. Maybe a healthy, non-cramping Carlos Alcaraz beats Djokovic in that semifinals, but perhaps we'll never know. He plays Casper Ruud in the actual finals, beat him in straight sets. Not much of a fight there. Although the past 2 years, Casper Ruud had to get to the finals at Roland Garros and lose to Nadal. And now he's doing it against Djokovic, and he really needs a break next year. I think if he can just get a really underdog, dark horse, lower ranked opponent next year when he probably does make it to the finals again, I would really love that for him, but we cannot predict tennis. Once these older guys retire, Ruud's definitely going to have an opportunity or two to hold up that trophy over at the Eiffel Tower for himself. And how can we talk about all these tennis greats without mentioning Nick Kyrgios, who after over 6 months of being out due to injury, finally returned to the Boss Open in Germany, which is a grass court tournament. That's right. We are shedding away the clay. As the spring becomes summer and the flowers begin to bloom, it is finally time for some grass tennis. The Boss Open is in Stuttgart, Germany. and is where Nick Kyrgios decided to make his long-awaited debut, being an 8th seed in this tournament, but unfortunately, he lost in the first round this morning, and I don't want to lie to you guys, he didn't look good. He wasn't moving too well, he's very immobile. We even got a classic yelling at the umpire bit. I think it was about the towels, that because of the branded towels from the tournament, they weren't really wicking away moisture as well as, I guess, a normal towel would, and he really let the ump have it about that. But all around, it was not a good day for Kyrgios. Some of his shots just looked flat. He had a couple of whiffs too, a lot of unforced errors. We can only hope that he gets back to the Nick Kyrgios form that we all know and love, and I have full faith that he will. He did tweet out to his fans afterwards, thanking them for their patience, but saying that he just needs more time to get back to his form. But again, everyone here at Small Talk Sports has full faith that he will get to that place, and even win a Grand Slam sooner rather than later. So Nick, take all the time you need, Nick. We are right here supporting you. We want you to get back to that place as soon as possible. A quick note about the LA Sparks. They are currently 4-4. Tomorrow they're playing the 5-4 Dallas Wings. I think the Sparks can easily be 6-2, 5-3 at least. They had a blown 10-point lead going into the fourth quarter last week versus the Chicago Sky. And they also blew a 21-point lead versus the Seattle Storm, which is just inexcusable to be up by 21 at any point in the game. However, it's a good group we got going on here. Nneka Ogwumike is averaging 21 and 10. She's 5th in the league in scoring. I think we maybe make a little MVP run later in the season. That's definitely what I want to see. Oh, before we go, probably right now, the Las Vegas Golden Knights are playing in the Stanley Cup, looking to clinch it tonight. And I'll be honest, I hope they do. I'm rooting for the Golden Knights. That's it from me. Small Talk Sports.